Welcome to the Moms of Maternity YouTube and podcast. Today's host is Shannon Handy.
Well, Arlana, thank you for, by the way, joining us on the Moms on Maternity podcast. So tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, well, my name, like you said, is Arlana, and I have been in the Pilates/fitness industry now for 12 plus years. I was turned on to Pilates with, I had an injury from running. I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought I'd get into running, and so I did it. I didn't do any training. I didn't do my research, and lo and behold, I wound up with an injury. So I turned to Pilates, and I took time off running completely because I concluded that was causing me pain. And of course, once I resumed the running and the heavy miles, it came back. So I learned that I had to modify how I was running, getting proper shoes. I was in an area with little trails, so I was doing a lot of running around in a big crowded street with very little room, cars, traffic. So then again, I corrected my route, but I had fallen so in love with Pilates because it really exposed so many muscle imbalances that I had. Again, we're so in life in general going into forward motion, right? Everything we do is forward. We're up on our feet, we're walking forward, we're running, but we're neglecting a lot of our backside and our side muscles. So once I realized I had no core strength, I was immediately hooked. So I started, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, I was introduced to Pilates by a friend maybe 10 years ago, and I fell in love with it as well. But a lot of people don't even know what Pilates is. So how do you describe it to people?
So Pilates is what I would call functional training through resistance of springs. So you're not going to get the bulk necessarily that you would with lifting weights. I highly recommend lifting weights. I'm not a one type, exercise. I really believe in a well-rounded regimen. But again, Pilates is a functional fitness regimen where you're working through specific movements to balance the body, focusing on the core. And again, our core is from our shoulders down to our quadriceps, right? We think of our core solely being like, oh, I want to do Pilates because I want to get abs. And yes, that's a big component of it. But again, like I said, it's really maintaining our shoulder girdle, our rib cage, and that pelvic girdle all in alignment. And once we're in that stacked aligned position, moving our limbs in coordination. So again, if I move my shoulders one way, usually my ribs and my hips want to follow, but it's being able to isolate and keep these areas engaged while moving on different planes. So it's not yoga. We do incorporate length in the movements that's why everyone's like, oh, it's stretching. Yes, a lot of the movements, what we do is called through a full range of motion. So you're moving from, a flex position into an extended position, but it's not just a static hold of specific poses.
I felt like when I started Pilates up until now, I feel like it really changed the tone of my body because I was a runner as well. And then when I shifted to Pilates, I noticed my body change in a really good way. So I kept up with it. And before this interview, I was telling you, I literally did Pilates up until the birth of both children. In fact, my daughter, who was born 18 months ago, I went to Pilates class in the morning, and later that day I went into labor.
And it literally gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh,
yes. So it was something that I was able to do the entire pregnancy because I had instructors that would work with me. I wouldn't do the same things that the other students would be doing. I would do what worked for me. And I have to say, I had 2 kids, and both my labors were very quick. And from what I hear from other stories, very easy. I mean, I pushed for both kids less than 15 minutes. And
see, that is exactly right. And again, if you think of the body as an onion, with Pilates, we're working those deep, deep layers in that onion, right? So a lot of times when we go to the gym, or maybe we're just not well informed, we see our muscles in the mirror, and those are the muscles we focus on. I can see it flexing. I'm going to continue this repetitive motion. But with Pilates, again, it's about maintaining preservation of the spine and your joints. So we're working tiny baby muscles that are so closely related or concentrated towards your spine and your skeletal system that you then have that internal strength. And in addition to that, so we're working these deep muscles, the neuromuscular connection from your brain to these muscles actually start firing. So we're slowing things down a bit, getting into, like I said, the nitty gritty of how our body is composed and then working our way out. Not to say we don't work those glamour muscles, right? Those superficial muscles, the biceps and those six pack, the rectus abdominals, we definitely do. But again, we're really concerned with how stable are we from here until we get that deep internal connection. We're not going to focus on those big, overworked muscles because like I said, they just get so much attention.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And obviously I know you're a huge proponent on Pilates and just a healthy lifestyle. And, for a lot of moms and working moms, some feel like they just don't have the time or they don't know how to fit it into their lifestyle. What's your message to women or moms that want to try Pilates or just want to introduce a more healthy lifestyle, but they feel like they don't have the time to do so?
I think especially now, coming out of COVID, it's so much more apparent that we need that time, whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes to an hour. We need that time inside our bodies, whatever that is. And like I said, of course, I love and live by Pilates, but there's all types of fitness. I don't believe that you should just do one thing. I think you should do what allows you to be inside your body, but again, fully inside your body, whether that means, you're doing weights at home or you're just on YouTube and doing a mat class, getting connected to your breath, allowing yourself to find relaxation through the shoulders, unclenching your jaw, and just breathing, being aware of how am I walking throughout my day? That's to me what Pilates is. Pilates is being able to identify how you carry your body throughout the day, noticing like, oh, I'm brushing my teeth, but I have all my weight on my left side. Why am I just leaning over here? I do that a lot because I have young kids and my working side is my right side. So I put the baby here and then throughout the day, I'm just over here. I'm like, wait, what? So even if we can just give ourselves 10, 15 minutes to stop, to breathe, to really, again, abdominal breathing is such a great way to activate that pelvic floor. The way that I describe the activation is like if you were to cough, that sensation of bracing those abdominals, that's how you want to feel. So even if it's, I pause for 5 minutes, I sit forward on my seat, I do a little, I clear my throat, and I just breathe. I breathe with my hands on my ribs, I close my ribs, and then from there, kind of let movement take over, if that makes sense, whether it's a little bit of rotation from side to side, allowing your head to stretch in both directions. There's so much you can do. Yes, I have machines, but it was created on the mat, right? So you don't need any fancy equipment. Like I said, you can find thousands of videos out there. Obviously, if you have pre-existing injuries, then you would want to consult somebody specific to, like you said, a pregnant woman isn't going to want to do a ton of inner thigh stuff. Like that is just not advisable for somebody that is pregnant. So again, if you're new to it and you have injuries, definitely seek out maybe 1 or 2 private instructions, get a game plan for yourself. And then, like I said, practice it on your own, however you can. I think things are starting to open up a lot more now. So that's a good thing. You can actually get into a studio again.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I am a firm believer that every little bit helps.
Yeah.
I work out every single day. Some days it's 20 minutes, some days it's an hour, and it's really whatever you can fit in. And it's never the same, right? It could be a run or Pilates. And I utilize YouTube a lot because I have 2 kids at home. It's hard to sometimes get out of the house or go to a class. So I will, find a class on YouTube, tell my husband to watch the kids. And there's ways to balance that. And I think it's so important just for yourself. And, it's not just a physical exercise, it's mental, right?
Right. I think for your children too, to be able to see that, like, it's great if you can get up early and get out of the house. But again, if you have that conversation, mommy's going to go and I'm going to take this class. And I do this so that I can stay fit. I do this so that I can be the best mom for you. I think that it's such an important conversation to have with children at an early age. And like I said, especially now, if you're in your home and they see you doing it, 9 out of 10 times, I'm here training virtually and my kids will come in and just crawl around. And again, that's just life. I don't bark at them and say, get out of here. I mean, again, bless those times where it's just an hour of solace, but that's just not, they're young, right? They're only going to be this age for so long. So I welcome the questions and the climbing. And it's, again, you work around them. And I think 2-3 weeks ago, it was like my first serious session. I have a daughter, she'll be 7 in July, but she's like, Mommy, I really want to do this. And I was like, okay, so we're not going to take breaks, and it was more of a structured, it's not just playtime on the reformer. This is going to be a structured instruction. And I was trying to hold it all in. I was like so excited, but I didn't want to deter her by her seeing my excitement. So, and we did, I think we made it through 15, 20 minutes of focused work, and she felt great. It was such a huge accomplishment. And like I said, she knows that for her well-being, it's what you need to do.
Yeah, no, we definitely are our children's biggest examples. My daughters will often try and emulate what I'm doing in the living room. It's very cute. Sometimes they get in my way, but
Right. I try not to get upset because I'm like, okay, you're showing interest. I want to applaud that. But also,
yeah, exactly. So you do virtual classes right now, and then are you resorting to in-person classes anytime soon?
I will. Again, I have my home set up. I'll always have a space carved out so that I can work out of my home. And again, I will continue to do the virtual because I think it has been such a unique shift in our industry. And again, learning to adapt because we never know, this could happen again. And there are just some people that are more comfortable now with the virtual setting. So initially when we started out, again, I would maybe model for the first 10, 15 minutes, but then my eyes are focused. So just like you and I are having a conversation, this is how I would direct a normal session. Again, it's about developing that proprioception. Some people have mirrors, some people are just doing it in their garage, nothing around them. And I just say, don't worry about what I'm doing. I'm directing you, I can see you. And it has worked so much better that way. It's just like being in the studio. Like I said, their eyes are on wherever they're looking, and my focus is on them.
Yeah, and I think you're right. This has opened up so many more opportunities for especially us working moms, because before it's like, okay, the round trip to the studio and then the long class, and discovering that you can get this type of physical activity virtually and kind of cater it to your schedule at your home has really saved me, and I know a lot of people, time.
Right.
So I'm actually really grateful for that. If there are any silver linings.
Right, absolutely. And I think there always are. Like I said, it showed us how adaptable we really can be and how little you need. I do have clients that have, their own reformer at home, but then I also have clients, we do kind of like a hybrid mat. I say hybrid because we're not just lying on the mat, right? So we do upright stuff, a little bit of bar based. But again, I train the person in front of me, so it's not going to be the same session every time. It's really going to be how I perceive you, how you're performing during the session. And then I have a set outline, but then sometimes we go off the rails and we get crazy with it. So it's fun.
Yeah, I bet. I know I asked you about your message to working moms that may feel like they don't have enough time, but what about just moms in general that want to maybe get in shape and they're scared to try something new because they think, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. And they're just really timid.
I would say just take that leap of faith, trust yourself and trust your instincts. You might find that the thing that you thought you would love, you don't love, and you don't have to stick with it. But I think the most important thing is just to continue to move your body in whatever way you feel comfortable, right? Whether it's, like I said, doing walking or light stretching, whatever it is, just give it a shot. It's not going to be 100% all the time. Like you said, life gets in the way, but don't give up on yourself. Believe in yourself the way your kids believe in you, and vice versa. I think that's the biggest thing. Again, especially if you're trying to, like for me, same thing with my pregnancies, my births, they were natural births. With my daughter, I pushed for maybe 15 minutes. My son, I was like, I got this. I pushed one time and he was out. So again, if it's really, and again, as we age, you know, all these things happen internally with our uterus and our pelvic floor. So being aware of prolapse and diastasis, all of these things that I think are getting a lot more attention. But for the longest time, we never heard of that. Like, it's so important that you have those corset muscles active throughout your life. Again, not just during pregnancy, because guess what? They aren't going to be there. But then again, I know with a newborn, it seems almost impossible. But if you think about it, now your body's going the other way. We have to retrain the muscles to come back together. And then you have a child that's growing. So now we have healing going on, and we have heavy lifting, and we have all of these other things that we're now doing, throwing our body even more out of its homeostatic state, right? So it's really, to me, it's about the preservation of yourself and how we age. We can age one way and wake up the next and be like, why does everything hurt? Or we can make a conscious decision to check in with ourselves daily and say, what is my body craving? What do I need? How can I make it so that I'm stronger and more able to live my life with zest, to take a quote from Joseph Pilates.
That's so true. And it's not even what your body needs, it's what your mind needs, right?
Right, and that's the other element of it. Absolutely. It's the mental component too, just being able to get in there, and whether it's disconnect totally or really connect completely. Some days, like I said, it's going to be one or the other. And then the breath combined with it is, because the breathing is totally different than yoga as well. It's not the diaphragm. We're not doing belly breathing. We're doing lateral breathing, which can be confusing at times. But as long as you're breathing, just breathe. Remember to breathe.
I have to tell you, I never took like a Lamaze class or anything like that for both children. And I really firmly believe that the breathing I learned in Pilates, but also yoga, helped me through both labors. So there are multiple benefits to it. Is there any other message that you'd like to get out to, any of the moms watching this?
Just stay with it. Whatever it is that you find that brings you joy, continue to do it. Do it for yourself. Do it for your children. Make that time. You are just as important as every other member of your family. We sometimes forget it. And like I said, I feel sometimes we try to hide what we need, but I think it's so important to put your needs first and to make sure that your family is aware of your needs, because if we don't have our mental health and we don't have our physical strength, then we can't be all that we want to be for our family. So I just hang in there, don't give up, and keep moving. However you feel joy, keep moving.
I completely agree. And how can people find you?
You can find me. I am on LinkedIn, just my first and last name. I am on Facebook and Instagram as well. So I'm in the process of developing a website, like I said, with all of this change. I don't have anything to reflect my current situation, but yeah, you can link up with me on those 3 places.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and your expertise, and hopefully someone, even if it's just one person, will find that sense of motivation by listening to you.
Thank you so much for having me today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you take care, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
For more, please visit www.momsofmaternity.com.